There are days when people wake up feeling alive, but in truth, they are only existing. Every morning begins with rushing. Every night ends with exhaustion. The mind is never truly quiet. The heart is never truly at rest. We run from one goal to another, from one worrying to the next, hoping that someday we will finally feel fulfilled. But the more we run, the emptier we become inside. The more we try to control the world outside, the more we lose ourselves within. That is why, for thousands of years, the profound teachings of Buddhism have never disappeared, because they are not only about religion, they are about the human mind, about suffering, about the insecurity that every person has experienced. And above all, they point toward a path that helps people return to mastering themselves. The hardest thing in life has never been defeating others. The hardest thing is overcoming one's own mind. A person may be very wealthy yet still filled with anxiety. A person may be admired by the whole world yet still feel lonely and afraid inside. Some spend their entire lives trying to prove themselves, but when night falls, they still feel they are not enough. That is why true freedom does not come from power, money, or recognition. It begins the moment a person understands themselves. Buddhism calls this the journey inward. Most human suffering does not come from circumstances. It comes from the way the mind reacts to circumstances. The same rain can bring peace to one person and sadness to another. The same words can be easily released by one person, becoming a wound carried for years by another. This shows that the outer world does not shape our lives nearly as much as the inner world does. Yet modern people spend far too much time fixing the outside and far too little time healing the inside. We try changing jobs, changing relationships, changing appearances, changing where we live, but rarely are we willing to sit still and truly look into our own minds. And so, no matter where we go, our unrest follows us. Because if there is no peace within, nowhere will ever truly feel peaceful. There is a deeply meaningful saying in Buddhist philosophy: the mind is the source of all things. It means that everything in life begins in the mind. When the mind is filled with anger, the world becomes frightening. When the mind is consumed by blind ambition, life turns into an endless race. But when the mind is calm, even in chaos, a person can still find peace. The problem is that very few people are ever taught how to master their own minds. Schools teach us how to make a living, but rarely how to face suffering. Society teaches us how to compete, but not how to live peacefully. People teach us how to succeed, but not how to heal. And because of that, many grow up appearing strong on the outside while carrying chaos within. They smile, but their hearts are exhausted. They succeed, but their souls feel empty. They appear happy, but when night comes, they feel lost. That is why the journey of self-mastery has become more important than ever. Mastering yourself does not mean becoming perfect. Buddhism has never required people to be perfect. What it speaks about is awareness, the ability to recognize what is happening within yourself, to recognize anger before it becomes harm, to recognize greed before it becomes suffering, to recognize fear before it controls your entire life. The strongest person is not the one who always wins. The strongest person is the one who can sit alone with themselves without needing to run away. That is a very rare kind of strength in today's world. Modern people are afraid of silence. Just a few minutes without a phone, without noise, without distraction, and the mind immediately becomes restless, because in that silence, people began to hear the things they have spent so long trying to avoid: unhealed pain, buried emotions, wounds that never truly disappeared. But according to Buddhist wisdom, the moment we face ourselves is exactly where transformation begins. A seed cannot grow unless it first passes through the darkness beneath the soul. Human beings are the same. No one matures through easy days alone. It is suffering that awakens people. It is loss that teaches us the value of peace. It is falling down that makes us begin searching for something deeper than material life. Many people only begin their spiritual journey after their hearts have been broken, because sometimes losing your way is the beginning of finding yourself. And that is what this video wants to bring to you today. Not promises that life will become perfect, not a formula for becoming superior to others, but a profound journey back to mastering your mind, emotions, and life through the wisdom of Buddhism. These 10 powerful lessons are not meant to help you escape life. They are meant to help you live more deeply, more peacefully, more consciously. Because when a person truly understands themselves, they are no longer easily shaken by the world. They no longer need to be better than others to feel valuable. They no longer need recognition to feel complete. They no longer need to control everything to feel safe. They begin to live more lightly. And perhaps that is the highest form of success a human being can achieve. Because in the end, life is not measured by how many things you own. It is measured by how deep the peace inside you truly is. Some people have everything but cannot sleep peacefully. Some people have very little, yet their hearts are as light as the wind. The difference is not in the world, it is within. So before we begin these 10 profound lessons, take a moment to truly listen to yourself. Not the person the world wants you to become, not the version you try to present to others, but the real person inside you, the one who has gone unheard for far too long. Maybe you are exhausted from always having to be strong. Maybe it has been too long since you truly felt at peace. Maybe you are searching for something deeper than what the material world can offer. If so, perhaps you are ready for this journey. A journey not to become someone else, but to return to yourself. Because in Buddhist philosophy, enlightenment is not about becoming more special than others. It is the moment a person stops resisting life and begins to understand their own mind. And sometimes just one small awakening in the mind can completely change the direction of a person's life. People often believe that strength lies in controlling others, winning every competition, or proving themselves superior to the world. But according to Buddhist wisdom, true strength begins with the ability to master oneself. Because a person who cannot master their mind will forever be pulled around by emotions, controlled by fear, and dependent on the outside world to determine their worth. A compliment can make them happy for an entire day, yet one criticism is enough to make them doubt themselves. A small success makes them proud, but a single failure can break them. And that is how many people are living, not through awareness, but through unconscious reactions to every change in life. The first lesson in mastering yourself is learning to observe your own mind. Buddhism teaches that all suffering begins within before it appears in the outside world. A person filled with anger will see offense everywhere. A person filled with insecurity will always fear abandonment. A person who does not love themselves will endlessly seek validation from others. So instead of trying to change the entire world, begin by looking deeply into yourself. Become aware of the thoughts that are controlling your life every day. There are fears that have existed for so long that you mistake them for your true self. There are old wounds that have made you stop believing in love, in yourself, or in life. But when you begin observing your mind instead of allowing it to control you, a new door opens. That is the moment you begin to awaken. The second lesson is understanding impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. Emotions change, people change, life changes. Even the things that seem permanent will eventually fade with time. But suffering appears when people try to hold on to everything according to their desires. We want the people we love never to change. We want youth to last forever. We want success to remain forever. And when life does not unfold the way we want, the mind begins resisting reality. It is that resistance that creates suffering. When a person understands impermanence, they no longer cling desperately to everything. They begin learning to appreciate the present moment. They love more deeply without trying to possess. They understand that every moment is precious because nothing lasts forever. The third lesson, silence. In the modern world, people are almost never truly alone with themselves. The moment there are a few quiet minutes, they immediately reach for their phones, music, or meaningless conversations to fill the emptiness inside. But it is in silence that people begin hearing the true voice of their soul. A lake only reflects the sky when it is still enough. The human mind is the same. When you sit quietly long enough, you begin to realize how exhausted you truly are. You see the wounds you once tried to bury. You realize you have spent too long living to please others, all forgetting yourself. And even though that truth may be painful, it is still the beginning of healing. The fourth lesson is letting go of the need for validation. Many people spend their entire lives trying to prove their worth to others. They want to be liked, admired, accepted, and because of that, they slowly lose themselves. They wear masks to fit society's expectations, but a life built on validation will always be fragile, because the moment others change their attitude toward you, you immediately feel worthless. Buddhism teaches that true value does not come from the eyes of the world. It comes from understanding and accepting yourself. A flower does not compete to prove its beauty. It simply blooms in the most natural way. Human beings are the same. When you understand your inner worth, you no longer need to try becoming someone else. The fifth lesson is learning to let go of the past. Many people are still living inside old memories without realizing it. Words that hurt them many years ago still affect the way they see themselves today. A relationship ended long ago, yet the heart has never truly let go. There are people who have walked out of your life, but in your mind they are still there every day. Buddhism teaches that suffering does not lie in what happened, but in the fact that we continue carrying it for too long. Letting go does not mean forgetting. Letting go means no longer allowing the past to control the present. It is the moment you stop living in regret and begin returning to the present. The sixth lesson is disciplining the mind. A person who cannot master their mind will be controlled by emotions for their entire life. They become easily angry, easily hopeless, easily ready to give up. But a trained mind becomes steady in the face of every change. Buddhism does not teach people to suppress emotions, but to observe them without allowing them to take control. Anger will pass. sadness will pass. Every emotion is like clouds in the sky. They come and go, but if you identify yourself with every emotion that appears, you will forever live in chaos. True discipline is not forcing yourself to become perfect. It is the ability to return to awareness whenever the mind begins to lose its way. The seventh lesson is compassion. This world is filled with people carrying wounds inside them. Those who hurt others are often people who have not healed themselves. Those who are full of anger are often people who are suffering. When you understand that, the heart begins to soften. Compassion is not weakness. It is the strength of a person who refuses to let bitterness turn them into someone filled with hatred. Hatred never heals hatred. Only understanding can do that. The eighth lesson is slowing down. Modern people are always rushing to make money, rushing to succeed, rushing to prove themselves. But the faster they live, the more disconnected they become from the present moment. They eat without tasting. They listen without truly hearing. They live, but their minds are always somewhere else. Buddhism teaches that peace is not in the future. It is in this present moment. When you are truly present, even the smallest things become profound. A breath, a ray of sunlight, a quiet morning. Life has never lacked miracles. The mind has simply become too noisy for people to notice them anymore. The ninth lesson is accepting yourself. Many people spend their entire lives fighting against who they truly are. They hate their flaws. They compare themselves to others and constantly feel they are not enough. But healing begins the moment you stop fighting yourself. You do not need to become perfect to deserve love. You do not need to be like anyone else to have value. A tree does not try to become a flower. It grows according to its natural nature. Human beings are the same. When you accept yourself, a deep sense of peace begins to appear. And the final lesson, the most powerful lesson in mastering yourself, is returning to the present moment, because life truly only exists in this moment. The past is gone, the future has not arrived, yet people spend most of their time regretting the past or fearing the future, forgetting that the present is where life is actually happening. When the mind stops wandering, when you truly live fully in this moment, a strange kind of freedom appears. You are no longer pulled around by the world. You begin to find peace that does not depend on circumstances, and that is the true power of self-mastery according to Buddhist wisdom. In the end, after all the profound lessons about mastering yourself, perhaps the most important thing Buddhist wisdom wants us to understand is this: the greatest battle in human life has never been in the outside world. It exists within the mind of each person. Because you may conquer the entire world and still not escape anxiety. You may appear successful in the eyes of everyone, yet still feel empty when alone. You may try to control everything around you, but if you cannot master yourself, you will continue living in chaos. That is why mastering yourself becomes the most important journey of human life. Not mastering others, not controlling life, but learning to understand your mind so deeply that it no longer drags you unconsciously in every direction. Some people spend their entire lives chasing success, yet never sit still long enough to understand why their hearts are always restless. Some try to appear strong in front of the world, yet at night they feel exhausted inside. They are not truly living. They are only trying to survive among pressure, expectations, and fear. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering does not lie in life itself. It lies in a mind that has not been mastered. A mind that is always comparing will never be peaceful. A mind filled with endless desire will never feel satisfied. A mind trapped in the past will never truly be free, and because of that, every true healing journey begins within. When you begin observing your thoughts instead of believing every thought that appears, you awaken. When you realize emotions are only clouds passing across the sky of the mind, you become freer. When you understand that everything is impermanent, the heart begins learning how to let go. That is when a person gradually begins mastering themselves. Many people believe strength means never falling down, but sometimes true strength is the ability to sit quietly with pain without running away. It is the ability to face yourself in silence. It is the ability to walk through suffering without turning the heart bitter. That is a kind of strength that is very rare in today's world, because modern people are taught how to impress others, but not how to understand themselves. We learn how to make money, but not how to protect peace within the mind. We learn how to stay busy, but forget how to truly live. And then many people spend their youth chasing the world, only to one day realize that what they were searching for most was the inner peace they had lost. The sad truth is that many people only begin their awakening journey after their hearts have been broken, after failures, after lonely nights, after life has exhausted them to the point where they can no longer continue living the same way. But sometimes suffering itself becomes the doorway that leads a person back to themselves. The seed must break apart before it can grow. Human beings are the same. There are old versions of yourself that must disappear so that a more awakened person can be born. And that is what Buddhist wisdom always reminds us. You do not need to become someone else to find peace. You only need to return to who you truly were before the world made you forget yourself. When a person truly masters themselves, they change in a very different way. They no longer react to everything with anger. They no longer allow the judgments of others to control their emotions. They no longer chase validation in order to feel worthy. They begin living more slowly, listening more deeply, thinking more thoughtfully. They understand that peace is more valuable than always being right. They understand that a quiet mind is stronger than a prideful ego. They understand that true happiness does not come from having more, but from needing less. That is when life begins changing at its roots, not because the world has become perfect, but because the inner world has changed. You may still face difficulties. There may still be exhausting days. There may still be things that do not go the way you hoped. But when the mind stops resisting life, suffering begins to fade. You learn how to accept, learn how to let go, learn how to move forward without carrying so much resentment in your heart. And then one day, you realize that the strongest thing you have ever done was not defeating someone else, but overcoming the fearful version of yourself. That is the true victory. In Buddhism, there is a deeply profound truth. A person who does not understand themselves will forever be controlled by the world. But a person who understands their own mind will find freedom anywhere. Because true freedom is not found in circumstances, it is found within. Some people live in wealth, but carry restless minds. Some people live very simply, yet their eyes are filled with peace. The difference is not in what life has given them, it is in the way they see life. So if today you still feel lost, if you are exhausted from trying too hard, if it has been too long since you truly felt at peace, then perhaps this is the moment to pause for a while and return to yourself. You do not need to change your entire life overnight. You do not need to become perfect. You do not need to force yourself to always be strong. You only need to begin with awareness. One slower breath, one quiet moment, one time truly listening to your own heart. Because the journey of mastering yourself is not a destination, it is the process of returning to yourself every single day. And sometimes the smallest inner changes create the greatest transformation for an entire life. If this video touched your heart, share your thoughts in the comments. I truly want to know which lesson from 10 powerful lessons for mastering yourself made you reflect the most. Perhaps your story could become a light that helps someone who is lost find peace within their soul again. And if you want to continue exploring the profound wisdom of Buddhism about healing, awakening, and mastering life from within, subscribe to the channel and join us on the journeys ahead. Because in a world filled with noise, perhaps the most precious thing a human being can find is peace within their own mind.